Mikhail Gorbachev fights for his political life. Saddam Hussein's enemies gain more ground. And a homecoming ends in death for an American soldier. This is the CBS Evening News. Ed Bradley sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. Mikhail Gorbachev and his chief rival Boris Yeltsin are both claiming victory as returns come in from the Soviet Union's first ever national referendum. CBS News Moscow correspondent Anthony Mason reports.
Paper ballots counted by hand in a country that stretches from the Pacific to the Baltic Sea. Mikhail Gorbachev hopes they'll give him a mandate for his vision of a renewed Soviet Union. Preliminary results are leaning Gorbachev's way, but they're far from unanimous. The referendum showed what many people already knew, that voting for unity doesn't mean you have it. In spite of the Kremlin's all-out campaign, Gorbachev almost lost Moscow. In the Soviet capital, just 50% said yes to Gorbachev's union, but 56% of Kiev and 62% of Sverdlovsk, Boris Yeltsin's home city, said no. The Central Asian republics were the most loyal to Gorbachev. He won 9 out of 10 votes in this most conservative part of the Soviet Union. But in the 6 republics where local governments refused to hold the referendum, the Soviet army had to set up polling stations. Sometimes a couple of military trucks was all they could find. In Moldova, one of the boycotting republics, people gathered outside the polling stations, blocking the way. Those who tried to vote were aggressively discouraged. This man claimed Soviet officials invited him to stuff the ballot box. They offered me as many ballots as I wanted, he says. For Gorbachev, the most ominous message may have come from Russia, the largest republic. On a separate ballot, voters appear to have overwhelmingly chosen to create the post of a directly elected Russian president. Boris Yeltsin is ready to run.
The paradox here is that this referendum was designed to resolve disputes, conflicts, and the result, no matter what the final outcome of the voting is to create new ones.
Gorbachev could have felt the chill yesterday in northern Vorkuta, where temperatures were 40 below and thousands of coal miners are on strike. Outside a polling station, a miner tore up his ballot. And a woman admitted she had lost all faith. For 70 years, they promised us a brilliant future, she said. There's no such thing. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Moscow.
2 years ago, East Germans held protests every Monday night until they finally overthrew the communist regime. Now they're back in the streets protesting the unemployment and poverty that have come with capitalism and German unity. Tens of thousands marched in several cities tonight and vowed to be back every Monday until Chancellor Kohl brings them economic relief. Rebel groups in Iraq are reporting more heavy fighting against troops loyal to Saddam Hussein. Other sources report thousands of deaths from the fighting and critical food shortages around the country. Jim Stewart at the Pentagon is following the violent sequel to the Gulf War. Jim?
Ed, Saddam Hussein's most bitter enemies, the Kurdish minority in northern Iraq, have been making major gains in fighting there. And for the first time, some of Saddam's best remaining troops, the Republican Guard, have been spotted heading for that fight. Kurdish opposition leaders are also claiming that Saddam's forces have used tactical surface-to-surface missiles against 5 Kurdish towns in the region, but there has been no verification of the claim.
Heavy fighting between government forces and Kurdish dissidents, which continues in northern Iraq. Kurdish dissidents now appear to control large portions of predominantly Kurdish areas of northern and northeastern Iraq.
And just 2 days after Saddam Hussein claimed his forces had smashed opposition in the southern portion of the country, more fighting was reported there as well, with particularly heavy damage in Karbala, home to Shiite Muslim holy sites.
We can confirm that, unfortunately, both holy shrines in Karbala have been damaged in the recent fighting there.
Saddam was getting no relief either on the diplomatic front, as President Bush pointed to continuing oil fires in Kuwait as more evidence of why Iraq must pay war damages.
Iraq must pay reparations or pay damages. And the more one looks at the environmental terrorism that they embraced, that they brought about, the more the world understands that they have got to do something about that.
Officials here have been saying for weeks that they believe Saddam Hussein has the military muscle to survive this, but for weeks too now, the rebels have been fighting on and show no signs of giving up. Ed?
Jim Stewart at the Pentagon. A thick cloud of black smoke blotted out the sun in Kuwait City, the worst day of pollution yet from the burning oil wells around the capital. Among those breathing it were several U.S. congressmen checking on the prospects for economic recovery and democratic reform in Kuwait. Economic damage is now put at $20 to $30 billion, somewhat less than earlier estimates. President Bush says he's determined to press for a breakthrough toward peace before the Middle East reverts to its status quo. Randall Pinkston has more from the White House.
Fresh from an upbeat report from Secretary of State Baker on his talks with Mideast leaders, President Bush told a group of American Jewish leaders today that it's time to seize the moment in pursuit of a lasting peace between Israel and its Arab neighbors.
I think the climate for fulfilling some of these hopes is probably better than it's ever been. And I'm talking about on all sides out there.
But in nearly the same breath, the president downplayed expectations for easy solutions to the Palestinian question, strife in Lebanon, and remaining problems in the Persian Gulf.
I don't think the American people ought to think that you can wave a wand and solve all three of these very difficult problems at once.
One reason for the president's caution, Israel's continued hardline stance on direct contact with Palestinians. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Shamir rejected talks with the same Palestinian leaders who last week met with Secretary of State Baker to discuss possible dialogue with Israel.
It gives you a sense of how intractable these problems are. We have to be modest about all of this. We can't achieve miracles even though we've won the war.
And that may explain why the president has not publicly floated any specific peace plan. Baker's trip may have demonstrated the administration's new clout, but it showed just as clearly how far the Middle East is from real peace. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, the White House.
The big U.S. Navy base at Norfolk, Virginia, turned out today to welcome the first ship home from the Persian Gulf. It was the USS Sylvania with 430 sailors aboard. The battleship Wisconsin and the carrier John F. Kennedy are expected to return to Norfolk next week. A soldier who won the battle for survival in the Persian Gulf lost the battle overnight on a street in Detroit. Jacqueline Adams reports.
His neighbors in Detroit were ready to welcome home a hero, ready to welcome Army Specialist Anthony Riggs home from Saudi Arabia. In the early morning darkness, though, the 22-year-old wasn't seen as a war hero. He was just another young black man.
I just ran out here to see what it was. He was laying face down on the ground. He had been shot in the head.
Over there, Riggs was part of a Patriot missile crew, protecting his comrades from Saddam Hussein's Scud missiles.
He was glad, everybody was proud of him, and he was real glad to be back.
But once he got back, Riggs couldn't protect himself from car thieves as he tried to move his wife and stepdaughter out of his mother-in-law's house.
He spent 6 months, almost 6 months over there. Didn't get scratched. He come here, and they fill him full of bullets for a car.
All right, let's go, get him going.
Welcome home. A new federal study confirms that young black men were safer in the sands of Iraq and Kuwait than they are on the streets of America's cities. Take Washington, D.C. This weekend, the number of homicides topped 100. Most of the victims were black, most of them male. African-American leaders are furious that their young men stop being heroes once they take their uniforms off.
Discrimination still lives, crime still lives, homelessness still lives, drugs still live in America. And no matter what we did to Saddam Hussein, we have not won the victory at home.
In Bangor, Maine today, townspeople gave returning soldiers, both black and white, a tumultuous welcome. In one Detroit neighborhood, though, the bands fell silent. The cheering stopped. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the Los Angeles police chief vows to stay in office. And is it the end of two careers? We'll tell you what Bo knows.
Are you confused about oat bran? I'm not surprised. One day you hear it's a cure-all, the next you hear it's hype. You don't know what to believe. But there's one cereal that's been good for you for almost 100 years. Nabisco shredded wheat. It's pure whole wheat with plenty of fiber, with no added fat and no added sugar or salt. Don't be confused about breakfast. Try Nabisco shredded wheat. It's good today, and it'll be good tomorrow.
You know, there's nothing square about prunes. These Sunsweet pitted prunes are not only irresistibly sweet and bursting with flavor, they're also perfectly round. Only one prune tastes Sunsweet.
It's a comfort to know more people have taken Sominex over the past 30 years than any other sleep aid. Safe, simple Sominex.
What do professionals do when they get a clogged sink, a stopped-up shower, a backed-up tub? They just pour in the power. The professional power of professional strength liquid Drano with 3 active ingredients. The power it takes to clear really tough clogs. Professionals use the professional liquid, and now you can too. Pour in the power. Professional strength liquid Drano.
At the age of 28, the prime of athletic life, one of Bo Jackson's illustrious careers may have come to a close. The Kansas City Royals placed their all-star outfielder on waivers tonight. The reason? A devastating hip injury. David Dow has the details.
Bo Jackson is the sports world's most versatile millionaire. The man who can run, who can hit.
Don't I know you? Nice shoes.
And who can pitch. But today, Jackson was limping, hobbling to a visit with a Birmingham, Alabama bone specialist who confirmed that the baseball and football star has a serious, though not necessarily career-ending hip problem. A hip joint that was jarred partially out of its socket.
We are recommending to him that he not, of course, take any chances on, of course, trying to participate in baseball during the opening part of this season.
Don't count me out, because I know deep down inside that I'll be back playing baseball this year.
But despite Jackson's upbeat words, his baseball employers, the Kansas City Royals, said they'd heard enough, that the injury was so serious they were in effect cutting Jackson loose to any team that would take him.
It is with very deep regret that we announce that the Royals are asking waivers on Bo Jackson for the purpose of issuing him his unconditional release.
Jackson's hip problems began January 13th after this 34-yard run for football's Los Angeles Raiders in a playoff game. He was helped from the field with what was thought to be a minor injury. But 2 months later, Jackson is on crutches, unable to work out in spring training with his other professional team, baseball's Kansas City Royals. There have been other two-sport professional athletes, but none has had the popular impact of Jackson, known almost as well for his commercials as his touchdowns and home runs.
Air Bo. I like the sound of that.
He's like a Superman, you know, a super Bo. And that quality, I think, is sort of felt.
Kansas City will pay Jackson a sixth of his $2.3 million contract for this year. The status of his football contract, also worth more than $2 million, isn't clear. No matter what happens, his lucrative commercial contract with Nike is secure. A spokesman said today that Nike knows that, and so does Bo. David Dow, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles police officers applauded their chief today, even as more questions emerged about the brutal police beating of a black motorist. Jerry Bowen has details.
As the focus of the grand jury investigation shifts to officers who witnessed the Rodney King beating, the union that represents all Los Angeles policemen today defended the other 11 officers at the scene, saying they did exactly as they were trained to do, by doing nothing.
Anybody who challenges the authority of superior officers is severely dealt with in a disciplinary system. We're a paramilitary organization and we're taught to follow orders.
But an expert on police behavior says the fact the officers simply stood by suggests something more ominous.
It suggests that the police officers who are around watching this were expecting this kind of thing to happen, did not find it utterly offensive, and were prepared to lie about it.
And audio tapes of police and highway patrol radio traffic during the pursuit only deepen the mystery of what provoked the police beating.
This is CHP. We're in a pursuit right now.
What are you in pursuit of?
This thing. It was fairly yield at this time, and it's a white Hyundai.
The audio tape seems to contradict police claims that King was fleeing at high speed and running stoplights.
They're about 55 miles an hour, taking the vehicle stopped at the lights on Foothill from Van Nuys. They're refusing to yield.
Meanwhile, the embattled Los Angeles police chief turned teary-eyed today at a demonstration urging him to stay on the job. His response was not surprising.
My answer is I am not going anywhere. I'm staying in this department.
Later this week, the police commission is expected to hear more demands that the chief of police be replaced as a result of the beating that has now prompted a federal nationwide review of police brutality cases. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
There's new videotape of another crime in the making, the robbery of a convenience store in the Milwaukee area. But watch his savage technique. The man poses as a customer before suddenly striking the clerk with a karate kick. The attack was videotaped by a security camera. The man is wanted in connection with at least 5 robberies. In a moment, a Michigan grandmother's crusade to help others fight pain by smoking marijuana.
This makes me think simple, plain, tan, dull, zip, flakes. Simple, surprise, light, crisp, tasty. Toledo. I grew up in Toledo.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes? I was going to say that.
Taste them again for the first time.
Best Western always welcomes me wherever I might roam, reflecting the pride of the cities they call home. Best Western, it's not the same old place. Best Western, for my individual taste. Oh, Best Western.
Best Western, as individual as America itself.
Every time it rains,
The Discover card pays a cashback bonus on every penny you charge.
pennies from heaven.
It pays to Discover.
Like a blowtorch in my gut. That's how bad my heartburn felt. I went straight to Riopan.
Lab tests show Riopan Plus 2 starts neutralizing acid on stomach contact in 2.2 seconds.
The blowtorch is out.
Remember 2.2 seconds. Riopan.
Chris, Vicky, Bud, Ron, and Hope. Teamwork. That's what works at News Channel 5. More news, more experience, more often.
California's exclusive Malibu beach had an unwelcome visitor today. Hundreds of workers were cleaning up light oil that spilled over the weekend from an underwater Chevron pipeline. It was punctured by an anchor dropped by a moored tanker. Her mission in life is to repeatedly break the law. She says she won't stop until suffering human beings can ease their pain with legal marijuana. Frank Courier reports.
May Nutt is a grandmother, not quite 70. Bill Sebastian is a World War II veteran, totally blind.
I haven't lit anybody's marijuana cigarette in a long time.
She's helping him smoke grass illegally, not to get high, but to ease the pounding pain of glaucoma, an eye disease.
Yeah, first when I could buy it, I could get it for about $40 for an ounce.
Yeah. Now what is it?
$220 for an ounce.
His entire monthly Social Security check goes for dope, but the relief from headaches no prescribed painkiller could knock is worth every cent.
What does it do to your appetite?
Oh, yeah, I gotta watch that because...
You get the munchies, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Morning.
Some call her the marijuana grandma, a volunteer in a Michigan hospital cancer ward who reaches out to patients tormented by nausea and weight loss from chemotherapy.
Has anybody ever talked to you about smoking marijuana?
For chemo? They never have. If I got sick enough, I think I'd try about anything.
She probably needs to talk to you about a week.
For 12 years, she's been fighting to legalize marijuana for the seriously ill, part of an underground network that includes sympathetic priests and policemen, even doctors, she says, who urge her privately to do what medical ethics won't allow.
You don't have any on you, but if you did, and somebody asked,
I'd give it to them in a New York minute. When you see people retch and retch and retch, you know, there's nothing there to come up and they're just wrapped. And you know that a couple of puffs on a marijuana cigarette would stop it? You bet.
May understands. She lost 2 sons to cancer. 8-year-old Dana, 23-year-old Keith, who in his last days smoked away pain with pot and convinced a skeptical mother the government's marijuana policy is wrong.
We're of the generation that the government convinced us that it was reefer madness and we might tear off all our clothes and run naked down the street.
Images of a Woodstock generation stoned on dope only undercut marijuana's credibility as medicine years ago. Today, the government's war on drugs ignores the benefits of pot and classifies marijuana in the same league with heroin and LSD.
Did you even look for a job today?
No, Ma. Marijuana can make nothing happen to you, too.
Marijuana does have many dangers, and there's no compelling need for it as a medicinal agent.
The only exception is marijuana grown here in Mississippi on this government-owned pot farm, available legally to fewer than 25 patients nationwide. Doctors petition the FDA. Glaucoma victims like Bob Randall, a pro-marijuana advocate who's legally smoked 10 joints a day since 1976 and who helped May Nutt when her son was dying.
There's a certain power and honesty in May Nutt that maybe someone like me can't convey as well. But May Nutt certainly is a touchstone in my life, and I think she's helped a whole lot of other people.
My aim is to get people's attention.
And she has. 34 state legislatures have approved marijuana for gravely ill patients, but the laws are meaningless without federal legislation.
Morning, ladies.
Still, May is determined as she awaits a decision that'll be made in the coming months not by doctors, but judges and politicians in Washington.
I will never give up. I think the government's waiting for me to die so that they've got one less person to be bothered with. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick around forever. Here's one paper, Bill.
For May Nutt, forever means just long enough to see the day a blind man like Bill Sebastian won't have to break the law just to kill the pain. Frank Courier, CBS News, Beaverton, Michigan.
When we come back, the politics of rap. Eazy-E meets the GOP.
Compton. When it came to redefining the word luxury, it wasn't a Webster. It was Oldsmobile.
The 98 defines luxury in terms of how much you get, not how much you spend. Anti-lock brakes, fuel-efficient power, computerized suspension, technology found in cars costing thousands more, which could be the greatest luxury of all.
And you can always take a Webster at his word.
This is the new 98. Luxury redefined.
Generation of Oz. Red Lobster presents our new shrimp dinner, just $7.99. Parmesan fried shrimp, shrimp Veracruz, and popcorn shrimp, all just $7.99, including our new fresh hot baked bread at Red Lobster.
It's Red Lobster's new lunch special. Shrimp and chicken, just $3.99. Golden fried shrimp and grilled chicken breast with salad and baked potato, just $3.99 for a limited time at Red Lobster for lunch.
Pain from just one sensitive tooth can start the domino effect. Pain can make you stop brushing, lead to plaque buildup, gingivitis, periodontal disease, even tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Find out how our workforce can answer the cry of help wanted. Join us for a town meeting Wednesday at 7 on News Channel 5.
Finally, he's not a presidential advisor yet, but his rap has gained him entry to the Republican elite. More on this new insider from Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer.
If you're cool, you know the center of attention at Washington's National Airport last night was that hot new rapper Eazy-E, whose rap is a little, well...
It's little on the dirty Two Life Crew side, but not quite to that extent. Not that he's not like abusing women, but right. You know, it has a couple swear words in it.
More than a couple, it turns out. And his biggest hit is so controversial the FBI protested. We couldn't broadcast it on a dare.
The name of the record? The record. Yeah. The police.
Which is why you might not have guessed that Eazy-E, Eric Wright is his real name, would be among this group of well-off Republicans who paid $1,250 to become members of something called the Republican Inner Circle, who were waiting in line today to hear Law and Order man George Bush at a private members-only reception. You would have been surprised because Eazy-E's group is not exactly the voice of the establishment.
What is your group now?
NWA.
And what does that stand for?
Niggas with attitudes.
So why was Eazy-E there? Mainly because he was invited. Like many Americans, he received a fundraising letter from Texas Senator Phil Gramm inviting him to join the elite inner circle for $1,000, of course. In a follow-up note, Senate Republican leader Bob Dole pointed out his fellow members would include Arnold Schwarzenegger and George Shultz. Before the Republicans realized it was all a computer foul-up, Eazy-E just sent in the money and was made an official member.
You think that Senator Phil Gramm and the other members of the Republican Inner Circle know who Eric is and what he does?
No, I don't think so. I think that probably they would be shocked to find out who he really is. And but as for us, we're happy to be here.
Whatever else all this means, Eazy-E says he thinks it's cool, and it does seem to underline one truth that applies to politicians of both parties these days. If you've got the money, they've got the time. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, just outside the inner circle.
That's the CBS Evening News. We hope you'll stay tuned for America Tonight after your late local news. I'm Ed Bradley in New York. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
You just couldn't resist eating the last of that crunchy, sweet, crackling oat bran. How do you avoid being blamed?
Hey, Tiger. You never saw Daddy eat the crackling oat bran.
Hiya, sweetie.
You didn't eat all the crackling oat bran, did you?
With the crunchy, sweet taste of Kellogg's crackling oat bran, an open box is an empty box.
In most commercials for Choice Hotels International, someone famous pops out of a suitcase. But the star of this commercial is the Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund, created for the American Red Cross. To support our troops and their families, we're donating $5 for every reservation made and used through our special 800 number at a Quality, Comfort, Clarion Sleep, Roadway, Friendship, or Econo Lodge hotel. The Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund. Call 1-800-4-CHOICE. You'll be doing your part for those who are doing theirs.
We bake pearls made of denture material in this blueberry pie to prove how powerfully Efferdent, America's leading denture cleanser, removes this tough stain, even in between. Efferdent, stronger than stains.
Hi, what'd you bring back?
Diarrhea.
Of course, you forgot your kaopectate.
Advanced formula kaopectate. Just one dose helps relieve diarrhea fast.
Next time, I won't forget the kaopectate.
Guaranteed to stop diarrhea fast.
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Yates.
And I'm Chris Clark. Coming up next on News Channel 5's 6 o'clock report.
Tennessee Republicans say the governor's education and tax reform plans just won't do. I'm Lydia Lenker. I'll have a live report.
And could Metro budget cuts have several police officers looking for new jobs?
And go off the beaten path with the sights and sounds of the Civil War.
We'll have those stories, plus Lamar Alexander meets with the nation's Teachers of the Year, memorial service plans for Reba McEntire's band.
And stiffer drug testing for Sheriff's Department employees. News Channel